Maria's world was white. White ceiling, white sheets, white light that blinked like a slow, tired eye above her head. Machines surrounded her bed, making small beeping sounds, beep, 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 like a clock counting down secrets. Her body felt heavy, like someone had filled her bones with wet sand. But Maria was not asleep. She was not unconscious. She could hear everything. She could hear the soft shuffle of shoes on the hospital floor. She could hear a door open gently, like someone trying not to wake a monster. Then she heard a voice she knew better than her own breathing. Abdul. Her husband. His voice came close, slow and careful. He sounded like a man walking around a sleeping lion. Maria kept her eyes closed. She forced her face to stay still. Her lashes didn't move. Her fingers didn't twitch. She became a statue. Abdul sighed, long and deep, like he had been carrying a heavy bag and finally dropped it. "Look at you," he whispered. Maria's heart jumped. She knew that tone. It was not love. It was not worry. It was relief. Abdul leaned closer. She could smell his perfume, too strong, too expensive. A smell he loved to show off, like his own pride. He spoke again, softer. "I can't believe it worked." Maria's stomach turned, worked. Her mind screamed, but her body stayed still. Abdul's voice became bolder, like he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "You were always too smart," he said. "Too careful. Always asking questions. Always checking things." He gave a small laugh. "But this time you didn't see it coming." Maria's chest tightened. The accident. The ghastly accident. The one that almost killed her. The one everyone called bad luck. Abdul leaned even closer, like he wanted to pour his words directly into her ears. "I paid them well," he whispered. "One little mistake on the road, one small push, and boom! Your car became fire. And metal." Maria almost stopped breathing. Her heart beat so loud she feared the machines would expose her. Abdul kept talking. "I even acted like the perfect husband," he said with a fake sad voice. "I cried. I begged the doctors. I held your hand." He paused, then his voice changed. Cold, hard, truth. "Because I needed you to die," he said. Maria's blood felt like ice. Abdul exhaled like a happy man. "You know what is funny?" he continued. "People think I married you because you're beautiful." He chuckled again. "No, I married you because you're a billionaire." He said billionaire like he was tasting sweet food. Maria's mind flashed back, how Abdul entered her life like a gentle man. How he smiled. How he brought flowers. How he said, "I love you for you." It was all a lie. Abdul's voice became excited, like a child talking about a new toy. "When you finally go," he whispered, "everything becomes mine." Maria imagined him opening her safe, signing her papers, sitting in her office, wearing her success like a stolen dress. And after that, Abdul continued, "I will marry someone fresh, someone young, someone who will respect me as the real man of the house." He lowered his voice. "A beautiful woman." Maria wanted to open her eyes. She wanted to scream. She wanted to slap him. But she did nothing, because Maria was not just a billionaire, Maria was a survivor, and survivors know when to stay quiet. Abdul suddenly stopped talking. For a second, the room was only filled with the soft beep of machines. Then he said something that made Maria's heart almost burst through her ribs. "And the best part," he whispered. He paused like he was enjoying the suspense. "The police will never suspect me, because to them, I am just the loving husband." Maria felt tears burning behind her eyelids, not because she was weak, but because the betrayal was too sharp. Abdul stood up straight. She could hear the slight movement of his clothes. He cleared his throat like a man preparing to leave. Then he spoke one last time, and his words hit like a slap. "Die quickly, Maria," he murmured. "I'm tired of waiting." He turned toward the door, and Maria almost moved, almost. But at that exact moment, Abdul's phone rang. He paused. He answered quickly, whispering, "Yes, yes, she's still the same. No movement, no sign." Maria listened closely. Someone on the other end was speaking fast. Abdul replied, "Don't worry, the doctor will soon say she won't make it. And once they declare her, you know, Everything will become simple. Maria's mind raced. He has someone else working with him. Her fingers tingled under the blanket. Her body felt weak, but her brain was on fire. Abdul ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Then he did something that made Maria's fear rise again. He walked back to the bed. He leaned down, very close, so close she could feel his breath near her face. "Sometimes I wonder," he whispered, "if you can hear me." Maria's heart froze. Abdul stayed there for a long moment, watching her face, testing, waiting. Maria forced herself to stay calm. She didn't blink. She didn't swallow. She didn't move. Abdul's lips curled into a small smile. "Good," he said. Still nothing. He tapped her hand lightly, like she was an object, not a human being. Then he straightened and walked out. The door clicked shut. Maria finally opened her eyes, slowly, carefully. Her eyes were wet, her throat was tight, but her face became hard like stone. She stared at the ceiling, breathing quietly through the pain, and in her heart a promise formed, clear and sharp. Abdul will pay. Just then the door opened again. A nurse stepped in, adjusting the drip. Maria quickly closed her eyes again. Back to the act. The nurse checked the machines, then stepped out. A few minutes later, a new person entered. This time the footsteps were different. Steady, confident, not sneaky. A calm voice spoke softly. "Madam Maria." It was her doctor, Dr. Felix Okoye, a kind man with tired eyes. Maria slowly opened her eyes and turned them toward him. Dr. Felix froze. "Madam," he whispered, you're awake." Maria stared at him. Then she spoke in a voice so weak it sounded like a broken leaf. "Yes," she breathed, "but please, keep it secret." Dr. Felix looked shocked, then he moved quickly to the side of her bed. "How long have you been awake?" he asked. Maria swallowed slowly. "Long enough," she whispered, "to hear everything." Dr. Felix's face tightened. "What happened?" he asked carefully. Maria's eyes filled again, but her voice stayed firm, even in weakness. "My husband," she said, "Abdul." Dr. Felix blinked. "Your husband?" Maria nodded slightly, then whispered the words like poison. "He confessed." Dr. Felix's mouth fell open. Maria continued, each word heavy. "He said he planned my accident. He said he wants me to die so he can inherit everything I worked for." Dr. Felix's face turned pale. That is a serious crime," he said. Maria stared at him like a queen who had been stabbed but refused to fall. "I know," she whispered, "and that is why I need you to help me." Dr. Felix looked around the room quickly, like he feared someone might be listening. "Help you how?" he asked. Maria's eyes narrowed. "I want him to think I won't make it," she said. "I want him to feel safe. I want him to relax." Dr. Felix hesitated. "Madam Maria, that is risky." Maria's voice became stronger despite her weak body. "Doctor," she said, "he almost killed me. If he knows I am awake, he will finish what he started." Dr. Felix swallowed. Maria continued, "I need time to gather evidence, time to prove the truth." Dr. Felix looked torn. He was a good man. But this was dangerous. Maria reached slowly for his wrist, weakly, gently. "Please," she whispered, "if you help me, you will be saving my life again." Dr. Felix stared at her hand on his wrist, then he nodded once. "Okay," he said quietly. "I will help you. But you must be careful. Very careful." Maria nodded. Dr. Felix leaned closer. "First, we need to control who enters this room. We can tell the hospital security to limit visits." Maria whispered, "Yes." He continued, "Second, if he comes, we must make sure he is monitored. Cameras, nurses, records, everything." Maria's eyes hardened. "And third," Dr. Felix said slowly, "we must create a believable report." Maria's lips parted. "A report?" she asked. Dr. Felix lowered his voice. "A report that says, your condition is getting worse." Maria swallowed. She understood. It was dangerous, but it was smart. She nodded. Dr. Felix straightened. "Rest now. Keep acting unconscious whenever anyone else is around. I will start preparing things." He turned to go, but Maria whispered urgently, Doctor. He looked back. Maria's voice shook, not with fear, but with anger. I want him to confess again, she said. Not just to me. I want proof. Dr. Felix frowned. Proof how? Maria stared at the door like she could see Abdul's wicked smile through the wall. Then she whispered, I want him to talk. On record. Dr. Felix's eyes widened. Maria's voice was quiet, but it carried power. He thinks I am dying, she said. If we play this well, he will come back. And he will say more. Dr. Felix breathed out slowly. Madam Maria, he said, you are playing a dangerous game. Maria blinked slowly. I didn't start this game, she whispered. Her eyes turned sharp, but I will finish it. Dr. Felix left the room. Maria lay back, closing her eyes again. Her body was weak, yes, but inside her, something had woken up stronger than pain. War. Minutes later, Maria heard voices outside the door, a man and a woman. The woman's voice sounded soft and playful. Abdul's voice answered, low and proud. Maria's stomach twisted. He brought someone here. Already? The door opened. Maria kept her eyes shut again. She listened. Abdul entered, but he wasn't alone. A woman walked in with him. Her heels clicked like sharp nails on the floor. She smelled sweet, like expensive perfume and careless confidence. Abdul spoke like a proud king. Don't worry, he said to the woman. She can't hear us. She's gone already. The woman giggled. Are you sure? She asked. Abdul laughed softly. I'm very sure, he said. Soon everything will be mine. Maria's heart pounded. The woman's voice became curious. So, when will you finally be free to marry me? Abdul stepped closer to Maria's bed, and he said the words that made Maria's blood run cold. Very soon, he whispered. But first, I need to make sure she doesn't wake up again. Maria's fingers trembled under the blanket, and Abdul's hand moved slowly toward the tube connected to her breathing machine. Abdul's fingers touched the tube, ready to pull it, while Maria lay still, pretending to be unconscious, knowing that one wrong move could be her last. Abdul's fingers wrapped around the breathing tube. The woman beside him leaned closer, her eyes shining with excitement and fear mixed together. Maria felt the cold touch through the thin blanket, and for one terrifying second, her heart screamed, "This is it." The machines kept beeping. Beep, beep, beep. Each sound felt slower than the last. Abdul looked around quickly, like a thief checking for guards. "No, one comes in here at night," he whispered to the woman, "and even if they do, they will say it was her weak body." The woman hesitated. "Are you sure this is safe?" Abdul smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Safe?" he whispered. "It is necessary." His fingers tightened. Maria's lungs burned. Her body wanted air. Her mind raced. Think, think, think. Just then, the door burst open. "Stop!" A loud voice filled the room. Abdul jumped back like a guilty child. The woman screamed softly and stepped away from the bed. Two nurses rushed in, followed by Dr. Felix. "What is going on here?" Dr. Felix demanded, his voice sharp like a knife. Abdul's face changed quickly. Fear became fake worry. "Doctor," he cried, "I was just checking her tube. It looked loose." One nurse moved fast, checking the machine. "It's fine," she said, "but sir, you should not touch hospital equipment." Dr. Felix stared hard at Abdul. "Step away from the patient," he said calmly. "Now." Abdul raised his hands like an innocent man. "Of course," he said softly. "I was only trying to help my wife." Maria lay still, but inside her chest, her heart was racing like a drum. "He almost killed me," she thought. "Right here." Dr. Felix turned to the woman. "And who are you?" he asked. The woman straightened, forcing a smile. I'm a friend of the family," she said. Dr. Felix's eyes narrowed. "Visiting hours are over," he said. "Both of you need to leave." "But," Abdul started. "Now," Dr. Felix repeated. The nurses stood firm, blocking the bed. Abdul's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "All right," he said, "we're going." As he turned to leave, he leaned close to Maria's ear and whispered something only she could hear. "You scared me," he murmured. "I thought you almost moved." Maria did not move. did not blink, did not breathe faster. Abdul laughed, quietly, and walked out with the woman. The door closed. The room felt silent again. Dr. Felix exhaled slowly and walked to Maria's side. He bent close and whispered, "You're safe. For now." Maria's eyes opened slightly, tears rolled down her cheeks, slow and quiet. "He tried to kill me," she whispered. "Again." Dr. Felix nodded. "I know, and now we know how dangerous he truly is." He turned to the nurses. "No one enters this room without my approval," he said. "Security stays outside at all times." "Yes, doctor," they replied. When they left, Dr. Felix pulled a chair close. "Madam Maria," he said gently, "we need to move fast." Maria nodded weakly. "I want proof," she whispered. "Real proof." Dr. Felix leaned closer. "We will get it," he said, "but you must be patient. We will make him feel safe." Maria swallowed. "How?" Dr. Felix straightened. "By giving him what he wants." Maria frowned. "What do you mean?" Dr. Felix lowered his voice. "We will tell him. You are getting worse." Maria's eyes widened slightly. "He already thinks that," she whispered. "Yes," Dr. Felix said, "but now we will make it official." 2 days later, Abdul sat in the waiting area, tapping his foot on the floor. He looked calm, but inside his heart was jumping. Dr. Felix approached him slowly, holding a file. "Mr. Abdul," he said softly, "we need to talk." Abdul stood up quickly. "How is my wife?" he asked, pretending to care. Dr. Felix sighed deeply. "I'm afraid her condition has worsened." Abdul's eyes flashed with excitement before he forced them to look sad. "What?" he whispered. "No, please." Dr. Felix shook his head. "We are doing everything we can," he said, "but her brain suffered serious damage. She may not wake up." Abdul covered his mouth, pretending to cry. "When?" he asked quietly. When will she?" Dr. Felix looked away. "We don't know," he said, "but you should prepare yourself." Abdul nodded slowly. "Can I see her?" he asked. Dr. Felix hesitated. "Only for a few minutes," he said, "and you will be monitored." Abdul nodded again. Inside, he was smiling. Inside the room, Maria heard footsteps. She knew who it was. Abdul sat beside her bed, holding her hand gently. "My poor Maria," he whispered, "you fought so hard." Maria forced herself to stay still. Abdul sighed dramatically. "You know," he said, "I never wanted things to end like this." He paused, then leaned closer. "But life is life." Maria felt his thumb rub her hand. "I already spoke to my lawyer," he continued softly. "Everything will be taken care of." Maria's heart sank. He was already planning. Abdul looked around, then pulled out his phone. He started recording, pretending to send a voice note. But Maria knew better. He wanted to talk and be heard. "I wish you could hear me," he said softly, "so you could know the truth." He smiled. "You were never meant to live long, Maria." Maria's breath caught. "I married you because you were rich," he continued calmly. "Nothing else." The nurse stood at the door watching. Abdul lowered his voice. "I planned the accident," he whispered. "Paid the driver, paid the man who damaged the brakes." Maria's fingers twitched slightly under the blanket. Abdul froze. He stared at her hand. The nurse cleared her throat. "Sir," she said, "please don't touch her." Abdul quickly straightened. "Sorry," he said. He put his phone away. Then he leaned close one last time. "Goodbye, Maria," he whispered. "Rest." He stood and walked out. Maria's eyes opened wide the moment he left. "Did you hear that?" she whispered to the nurse. The nurse nodded slowly. "I heard enough," she said. That night, Dr. Felix played the audio for Maria. Abdul's voice filled the room, clear and proud. "I planned the accident. I married you because you were rich." Maria closed her eyes. Tears rolled down again, but this time they were different. They were not tears of pain. They were tears of power. "We have him," Dr. Felix said quietly. Maria nodded. "Not yet." Dr. Felix frowned. "What do you mean?" Maria looked at him with sharp eyes. "He thinks he has won," she said. "I want him to feel it." Dr. Felix hesitated. "Madam Maria." "I want him to relax," she said. "I want him careless." Dr. Felix sighed. "What is your plan?" Maria whispered. "Let him believe I am dying." 3 days later, Abdul hosted a small party at his house. Music played softly, wine flowed. The woman from the hospital sat beside him, smiling proudly. "Soon," she said, "you will be free." Abdul laughed. "I already feel free," he said. His phone buzzed. A message from the hospital. "Condition critical. Prepare." Abdul smiled wider. He raised his glass. "To new beginnings," he said. The guests cheered. At the hospital, Maria lay still as nurses rushed around her bed. Dr. Felix spoke loudly for the cameras. "Her blood pressure is dropping," he said. "We may lose her." Security cameras recorded everything. Maria's heart pounded. "Stay still," she told herself. Then something unexpected happened. A new nurse entered. She looked nervous, too nervous. She approached Maria's drip. Dr. Felix turned. "Who are you?" he asked. The nurse froze. She stammered, I'm new. I was told to adjust the medication." Dr. Felix frowned. "That's not correct," he said. The nurse's hand shook. Maria's eyes opened just a little. The nurse leaned closer and whispered so softly only Maria could hear, "He said I should make sure you don't wake up." Maria's heart stopped. "Who?" She whispered. The nurse swallowed. "Your husband," she whispered back. Before Maria could react, the nurse reached for the drip, and Dr. Felix shouted, "Security!" The nurse tried to run. Guards burst in. They grabbed her. She screamed, "He paid me! He paid me!" Maria stared at the ceiling, shaking inside. Abdul had tried again. Later that night, Dr. Felix sat beside Maria. "You see now," he said. "He won't stop." Maria nodded slowly. Her voice was steady. "Then it's time." Dr. Felix raised his eyebrows. "Time for what?" Maria turned her head slightly and smiled, a small, dangerous smile. "Time for him to think I'm dead." Dr. Felix's eyes widened. "That is extreme," he said. Maria whispered, "So is murder." Dr. Felix leaned back, thinking. Outside the room, security guards stood firm. Maria closed her eyes again. She was tired. But she was not weak. Somewhere far away, Abdul slept peacefully, dreaming of money and freedom. He had no idea that his victory was about to turn into his worst nightmare. Maria whispered the words that would change everything. "Let him believe I'm dead," while the hospital prepared a plan so dangerous that one mistake could destroy them all. The room was dark, too quiet. Maria lay still on the hospital bed, her chest rising slowly, carefully, as if even breathing too loudly might betray her. Dr. Felix stood beside her, his arms folded, his face tight with worry. "Once we do this," he whispered, "there is no turning back." Maria opened her eyes. They were calm, too calm for a woman who was about to be declared dead. "I know," she said softly, "but he has tried to kill me twice already. If we don't end this now, I won't survive a third time." Dr. Felix sighed. "The paperwork will say cardiac failure, a sudden drop. We'll move you through the private exit." Maria nodded. "And Abdul?" "He will be informed. Officially," Dr. Felix said. "He will come, and when he does, we watch." Maria closed her eyes again. "Let him think he won," she told herself. The hospital hallway was crowded. Nurses moved quickly. Doctors whispered. Security stood firm. Dr. Felix walked out with a slow, heavy step. Abdul stood up the moment he saw him. "What is it?" Abdul asked, already pretending to panic. "What's wrong with my wife?" Dr. Felix lowered his head. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "We did everything we could." Abdul froze. "Sorry." "For what?" he asked. Dr. Felix looked up, his eyes full of practiced sadness. "Madam Maria passed away 10 minutes ago." The words hung in the air. For a second, Abdul said nothing. Then, he dropped to his knees. "My wife!" he cried loudly. "Maria!" People rushed toward him. A nurse tried to help him up. "This can't be happening," Abdul shouted. "She's a fighter. She's strong." But behind the tears, behind the shaking shoulders, behind the loud cries, there was something else. Relief. A deep, sweet relief that washed over him like warm water. "It's over," he thought. "I've won." Abdul was allowed into the room. Maria lay still, No machines, no beeping, just silence. Abdul walked slowly to the bed. He stared at her face. Her skin was pale, her lips were still. For the first time since the accident, Abdul felt something like fear. He reached out and touched her hand. Cold, very cold. He swallowed hard. So, it's done, he whispered. He looked around the room. No one else was inside. Abdul leaned closer. I didn't think it would feel like this, he said quietly. But I'm not sorry. He straightened. I'm finally free. Abdul turned away from the bed, and he smiled. That night, Abdul's house was full. Not of mourning, but of laughter. Soft music played, wine glasses clinked. The same woman from the hospital sat beside him again, wearing a tight red dress and a smile full of plans. She's really gone, the woman asked. Abdul nodded proudly. Certified dead, he said, doctor's report and everything. She laughed. So, I guess congratulations are in order. Abdul raised his glass. To Maria, he said mockingly, thank you for your hard work. They laughed together, but Abdul didn't know something important. The house was being watched. Maria sat up slowly in a hidden room inside the hospital. Her hair was covered. Her face was slightly changed with light makeup and glasses. Dr. Felix stood near the door. You're officially dead, he said. Maria gave a small smile. Good, she replied. Now the real work begins. On the table in front of her were files, photos, phone records, bank transfers, security footage. Dr. Felix placed another file on top. The nurse who tried to poison you confessed, he said. She named Abdul. We have recorded statements. Maria flipped through the pages. Good, she whispered. But I want more. Dr. Felix frowned. More? I want him to destroy himself, Maria said calmly. I want him to feel untouchable. Dr. Felix leaned back. That's dangerous. Maria looked up at him. So was marrying a gold digger. 2 days after Maria's death, Abdul walked into her company building. The security guards bowed. Good morning, sir, they said. Abdul smiled proudly. He wore a new suit, new shoes, a new confidence. He walked into Maria's office, the office she built from nothing. He sat in her chair and laughed. I told you, he said to the woman beside him. This seat was always meant for me. He signed papers. He moved money. He called his lawyer. By evening, millions had already changed hands. What Abdul didn't know was this. Every single move he made was being recorded. That night, Abdul received a message from an unknown number. You look very comfortable in her chair. Abdul frowned. Who is this? He replied. Another message came. Did it feel good touching her breathing tube? Abdul's heart jumped. His fingers shook. What are you talking about? He typed. The reply came instantly. The nurse you paid is talking. Abdul stood up fast. Who is playing games with me? He shouted. The woman looked confused. What's wrong? She asked. Abdul didn't answer. Another message appeared. Relax. You're safe. For now. Abdul threw the phone onto the couch. His chest rose and fell fast. Someone is watching me, he muttered. The woman laughed nervously. You're just stressed. But Abdul couldn't sleep that night. Maria watched the live footage from a tablet. Abdul pacing, Abdul sweating, Abdul checking the windows. She watched calmly. He's cracking, Dr. Felix said. Maria nodded. Not yet enough. She tapped the screen. I want him to confess again, she said, publicly. Dr. Felix frowned. How? Maria leaned forward. By giving him something he can't resist. News spread fast. Billionaire Maria is dead. The funeral would be big. Important people, cameras, press. Abdul stood in front of reporters. My wife was a great woman, he said with fake tears. Her legacy will live on. Maria watched from the screen. She deserves better than this, she whispered. Dr. Felix nodded. She will get it. Late that night, Abdul's phone rang. Unknown number again. He hesitated, then answered. Hello? A distorted voice replied. You forgot something. Abdul frowned. Who is this? The one who knows how you killed your wife. Abdul's knees weakened. Listen, he whispered. Whatever you want, we can talk. The voice laughed softly. "I want the truth," it said. "Say it. Say everything you did." Abdul swallowed. "Why should I?" he asked. "Because if you don't," the voice said calmly, "the world will hear it anyway." The call ended. Abdul dropped the phone. Maria removed her glasses. Her eyes were sharp. "He's ready," she said. Dr. Felix looked uneasy. "The funeral is tomorrow," he said. Maria stood slowly. "Then tomorrow," she said, "the dead will speak." She turned toward the mirror. For the first time since the accident, she smiled. Not a soft smile, a dangerous one. As Abdul prepares to bury Maria and take everything she owned, Maria prepares to step into the world again, ready to reveal the truth at the one place no one would ever expect: her own funeral. The day of the funeral arrived with heavy clouds. The sky was grey, thick and angry, like it knew a lie was about to be buried. Black cars filled the large field where Maria's funeral was set to take place. Important people arrived in expensive clothes. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered. Everyone came to mourn the billionaire who died too soon. At the front, a shiny black coffin rested quietly, surrounded by flowers. Inside that coffin, Maria was supposed to be dead. Abdul stood beside it, dressed in black, his face serious, his eyes red from fake tears. Beside him stood the woman he planned to marry, pretending to be just a friend. He wiped his face with a handkerchief and shook hands with powerful guests. "I've lost the love of my life," he said again and again. Each time he said it, his heart felt lighter. This was the day he had waited for. The final goodbye, the final proof that he had won. The ceremony began. A pastor stepped forward. "We are gathered here today," he said, "to celebrate the life of a great woman, Maria." Abdul bowed his head. The pastor spoke of Maria's kindness, her hard work, her generosity. Abdul clenched his jaw. If only they knew, he thought. Then it was time for Abdul to speak. He walked slowly to the microphone, acting weak, acting broken. "My wife," he began, his voice shaking, "was my everything." People sniffed and wiped tears. "She trusted me," Abdul continued. "She believed in love. She believed in loyalty." Maria listened. From a hidden place not far away, she watched the live broadcast on a screen. Her hands were tight, her heart beat fast. "Keep talking," she thought. "Say more." Abdul continued. "She built an empire," he said proudly, "and I promised to protect everything she left behind." That was the lie, the biggest lie. Maria stood up slowly. Dr. Felix placed a hand on her arm. "Are you ready?" he asked quietly. Maria nodded. "More than ready." Back at the funeral, Abdul ended his speech. People clapped softly. The coffin was about to be lowered. That was when it happened. A loud sound broke the air. Beep. Then another. Beep. Beep. People looked around, confused. "What is that?" someone whispered. Abdul froze. The sound was coming from the coffin, his face drained of color. The pastor stepped back. "Is that a sound?" he asked. Then the coffin lid began to shake. Gasps filled the air. People screamed. Some stepped backward. The woman beside Abdul grabbed his arm. "What is happening?" she whispered in fear. Abdul couldn't speak. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then, the coffin lid slowly lifted, and Maria sat up, alive, breathing, looking straight at Abdul. The world stopped. Screams erupted. People fell back. Cameras dropped. Some guests fainted. Abdul stumbled backward, his legs shaking like paper. "Maria," he whispered. Maria stepped out of the coffin calmly. She wore white. Not funeral white, clean white. She looked at the crowd, then at the cameras, then she looked at Abdul. "You look shocked," she said calmly. Her voice was clear, strong, alive. The crowd froze. "This is not possible," Abdul stammered. You're dead." Maria smiled slowly. "Dead?" she asked. "No." She turned to the people. "I pretended to be dead," she said loudly, "because my husband tried to kill me." The crowd gasped. Abdul shook his head wildly. "She's lying," he shouted. "This is madness." Maria raised her hand. The screen behind the stage turned on. A video began to play. Abdul's voice filled the air. I planned the accident. I married you because you were rich." The crowd erupted. Abdul fell to his knees. "No. No. No." Maria stepped closer to him. "You confessed," she said calmly, "in the hospital, when you thought I couldn't hear." She turned to the crowd again. "He paid people to damage my car. He paid a nurse to poison me. He tried to remove my breathing tube." She looked down at Abdul. "And you celebrated my death." The woman beside Abdul backed away slowly. "I don't know him," she whispered. Police officers moved forward. Abdul tried to crawl away. "This was all a joke," he cried. "I loved her." Maria's voice hardened. "You loved my money," she said, "not me." The police stepped closer. Abdul looked up, his eyes wild. "You planned all this," he screamed at Maria. "You tricked me." Maria nodded. "Yes," she said simply, "just like you tricked me." An officer grabbed Abdul's arm. "You are under arrest," he said. Handcuffs clicked shut. Abdul screamed as they dragged him away. "I didn't mean it," he cried. "Maria, please." Maria didn't move. She didn't blink. She watched him leave. The field was quiet. Too quiet. People stared at Maria like they were seeing a ghost. Reporters rushed forward. "Madam Maria," they shouted, "how did you survive?" Maria took a deep breath. "I trusted the wrong person," she said calmly, "but I trusted myself enough to fight back." She looked into the camera. "And I want every woman to know this. If something feels wrong, it probably is." The crowd erupted into applause. As Maria walked away with Dr. Felix, her phone vibrated. A message appeared. "You think this is the end?" Maria stopped. Her smile faded. She turned to Dr. Felix. "Abdul didn't act alone," she whispered. Dr. Felix nodded slowly. "No," he said. "He didn't." Maria looked back at the funeral ground, at the coffin, the cameras, the shocked faces. Her voice was calm but firm. "Then Chapter 5, she said, will be the final one." She walked away, knowing the truth was out, but the danger was not yet over. Just as Maria exposes Abdul and watches him get arrested, a mysterious message warns her that someone else was part of the plan, proving that the real mastermind may still be free. Maria stood by the window of the private hospital wing, watching the sun rise. For the first time in many days, the light did not scare her. It warmed her face. It reminded her that she was alive. Behind her, Dr. Felix placed a cup of tea on the table. "You didn't sleep," he said gently. Maria smiled softly. "I don't think I could, even if I tried." The world had changed overnight. Her husband was in prison. Her secret was out. And yet, there was still one shadow left. The message. "You think this is the end?" Maria held her phone tightly. "Who else was involved?" she asked quietly. Dr. Felix sighed. "We've been looking into it." Later that morning, 2 detectives arrived. They sat across from Maria, calm and respectful. "We've reviewed all the evidence," one of them said. "Your husband didn't act alone." Maria nodded. "I knew it." The detective continued. "The driver who caused the accident didn't just work for your husband. He was connected to someone else." Maria leaned forward. "Who?" she asked. The detective hesitated, then spoke. "A former business partner," he said. "Someone who lost money when your company refused a deal." Maria froze. Her mind flashed back. A man, angry eyes, a failed meeting, a threat she ignored. "Mr. Karim," she whispered. The detectives nodded. "He helped plan the accident," the other detective said. "Your husband was the face of it, but Karim provided money and connections." Maria closed her eyes. "So he used Abdul," she said, "and Abdul used me." "Yes," the detective replied. Maria opened her eyes again. They were calm. "No more running," she said. "I want this finished." 2 days later, Maria appeared on television. Not hiding, not pretending, standing tall. "My life was almost taken," she said clearly, "but I am alive, and I am not afraid." Across the city, Mr. Karim watched the screen. His hand shook. "This woman should be dead," he muttered. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Yes," a familiar voice replied. "I know what you did." Karim froze. "Who is this?" he asked. "You tried to kill me," Maria said calmly, "and now I want answers." Karim laughed nervously. "You have no proof," he said. Maria smiled. "I do," she replied, "and the police are listening." The call went silent. Minutes later, Karim was arrested. No fight, no escape, just fear. Abdul stood in court days later. His head was down, his pride was gone. The judge read the charges: attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. The sentence was long, very long. As Abdul was taken away, he looked back at Maria. "I never thought you'd survive," he whispered. Maria met his eyes. "I didn't survive," she said calmly. "I rose." Abdul was gone, forever. Weeks passed. Maria returned home. The house felt different, cleaner, quieter. She changed the locks. She donated clothes. She cleared memories. One afternoon, she stood in her office again, her chair, her desk, her life. Employees applauded when she entered. "We're glad you're back," they said. Maria smiled. "So am I." She started a foundation that day. A foundation to help women trapped in dangerous marriages. Women who felt unheard. Women who needed a second chance. "This is my real legacy," she said. One evening, Maria sat alone on her balcony. The city lights blinked below. Dr. Felix joined her. "You won," he said softly. Maria shook her head. "I learned," she replied. "Winning was just the reward." She took a deep breath. "I trusted love blindly," she said, "but now I trust wisdom." Dr. Felix smiled. "You're stronger than before." Maria nodded. "Yes," she said, "because pain taught me what comfort never could." Months later, Maria stood on a stage. The crowd was large, the cameras were live. She looked confident, peaceful. "My story is not about revenge," she said. "It's about truth." The crowd listened closely. "When someone tries to silence you," Maria continued, "your voice becomes your power." Applause filled the room. Maria smiled, not the dangerous smile, not the broken one, but a healed smile. She walked off the stage, knowing one thing for sure. Her life was no longer a trap. It was a testimony. Maria went home that night. She stood by her window again. The same place, but this time, there were no shadows, only light, only peace, only freedom. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for amazing stories.